Welcome, and we're going to connect now to Facebook. And if you're watching this, Passionista, you'll need to grab some water. You will need to grab some water. So go ahead and grab some water. Oh, no, this is not what I want. No. That is not what I want. Stop live stream. I live streamed to the wrong place. Lord have mercy. Let's make sure we go to the right place. I hope you're grabbing your water. Welcome to everyone. Welcome to everyone. It is Thursday night. Oh, afternoon for many of you. Night for me. Welcome. Oh, I have a thing. This needs to be even. Oh, is it even? Oh, it's okay. So welcome everyone. I am Coach Vuyanzi Rodman. I help Black women leaders make career transitions with ease. It is my vision that I am able to, not necessarily single-handedly, but that I will touch 1 million Black women leaders globally and help them to go out and impact the world, whether that be through starting a business, like one that impacts the world on their own, whether it is becoming the CEO of an organization, whether it is creating a humanitarian project that positively impacts the world. That is my vision, and that is what I'm here to do. So welcome everyone. I'm a little bit tired, which is weird, but it is what it is. I had a late start today. So welcome to Thursday Night Live. Let's get started. You're gonna need water. So I need you to grab a glass of water. If you're watching this now, grab a glass of water. If you have it, once you have it, whether it's live or the replay, come back and say, I got it. You don't need that much, just get a half a glass and that's fine. Hey, Lantoinette Clark, welcome. Grab a glass of water really quickly. Go ahead. Trying to give you a minute to go ahead and get that. So tonight, or today, our topic is nurturing the nurturers, the power of filling your own cup. Maybe we'll get the glasses nearby just in case we need them. So nurturing the nurturers, the power of filling your own cup. Now, this was supposed to be a live, and this was just a topic tonight. However, as I began to really think about it, and as I felt that I was getting the download to talk about it, I decided to make this into 3 parts. So yeah, 3 parts. Someone type in 3 parts. And tonight is part 1. So over the years since I started my coaching practice, and it's only been about 5 years that I've been coaching, it seemed like, and it still seems like, the Black women leaders that are drawn to me are the nurturers. They are the healers. They are the caregivers. And let me be clear about this, because especially as some of us may be over 40, some of us 50, caregivers maybe immediately, many of you may think about aging parents, and that may be the case. However, the women who have come to me over the years are ones that people come to for that care, to the ones that people rely on for that nurturing. That's come in the form of other coaches. I have to tell you, and maybe I should have made this quantifiable data, but I've worked with many coaches over the years. Also, those who call themselves healers, those people have come to me as well. I've worked with ministers. Think about the types of people that I'm talking about. Coaching, what happens? They're on the receiving end of everyone's problems, or trying to help create solutions for people. Ministers, I mean, that within itself, being a religious leader at a church, those people have come to me. Doctors, need I say more? Those are healers, right? By trade, those are healers. By studies, those are healers. Those are the ones that people go to. The corporate leaders, so even those who in their organization, they are looked up upon, and people look to them for the answers. And also those who I'll give it the category that fall into the category of knowledge givers. And thank you for getting that glass of water. Those who fall into the category of knowledge givers. So first I want to ask, who are you? How do you categorize yourself? Are you a healer? Are you a coach? Are you a knowledge giver? Are you a doctor? Are you a corporate leader? And I need to add this on, those people who have come to me are also business owners too. Those where a lot of them have been creating businesses. Of course, people come to them. Again, people are coming to them for solutions. So tonight, this particular series, this first part of this particular series called Nurturing the Nurturers, the power of filling your own cup, are for those kinds of people. So I want to say this. Well, anyway, let's just continue. Actually, let me actually say this. At the end, I will give you an opportunity that if you've heard something that resonates with you, I'll do my best to, I'll drop a link here and we can sit down and talk together about how I can support you as the caregiver, as the nurturer, as the coach, as the healer in your journey from here to there. We know when we talk about filling your own cup, oh my gosh, I mean, there's so much about that. If you just scroll through your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed, we love to put these motivational, my internet was acting up. We love to put these motivational quotes about, fill your own cup, fill your own cup. But time and time again, I am seeing that those of us who categorize ourselves in this way are actually not doing it. Because when I ask how people are, everyone's so quick to say, I'm fine. And I can almost feel the tenseness through instant messaging or direct messaging. I can almost see that. So I hope and pray that whether or not you decide to, oh, this gray hair is popping, whether or not you decide to sit down with me for a half hour, that you'll get something today. So part one, jot this down. It's called the sacred act of nurturing yourself. The sacred act of nurturing yourself. So first of all, In order to nurture yourself, you're going to need to let go of the guilt. Someone type in that word guilt. You're going to need to have to let go of the guilt. And this is what I mean over and over again in my coaching calls. And if you said something like this, definitely type me, or if you felt like this, that when my client is talking about something that they've done for themselves, they'll say something like this: well, I'm going to have to be selfish and do X, Y, Z. And the X, Y, Z that follows is not selfish. It is something that they need to do for themselves, or it's just something that they desire to do for themselves. However, they're calling that act selfish because there's some type of guilt that comes along with that. So you're going to need to have to let go of the guilt. If you haven't already, type guilt in that, in the comment section. Also, that guilt with doing different things. I mean, it could be as simple as, well, I slept late today. I've heard people feel guilty for sleeping late. But here's the rub. Normally, when you sleep late, your body is trying to tell you something, probably because you needed the sleep. When you've had to tend to yourself, there's that guilt. I have to run out to get my nails done. I mean, I'm talking about little things like that, to go to the hairdresser, or like there's this thing where someone's like, well, I have to go to the hairdresser every month. I have to go, but it's not that desire that's in them. It's almost like it's guilt-ridden, like they're being judged. Have you been like this? Like you're being judged for going to the hair salon or to the nail salon. And I'm talking about those surface things, or doing whatever, or even spending money on yourself. How many of you have felt guilty for spending money on yourself? And by the way, I don't care what it is, whether it was clothes or something else, just the fact that you spent money and, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that because I could have bought, yeah, you could have bought 100 things for the kids, but you bought it for yourself because you wanted it. You have to let go of the guilt. That's part of the sacred act of nurturing yourself, that you have to let go of the guilt. So my question to you is, what have you felt guilty about in your life? What have you felt guilty about doing for yourself? Whether it was just something that you just simply desired to do, or something that you needed to do, but there was this thing inside of you. And I go like this because that's where I may feel my guilt when it comes up. Maybe some of you, it's in your belly. Maybe some of you get tension around your shoulders. Maybe some of you get a headache. But what have you felt guilty about doing? A little coffee in the evening does me right. So I want us to release the guilt. If you're willing to release the guilt, then let's continue with this. Now, I'm going to share something that many of you may know about, but we're going to shift it into a different context. So stay with me. If you're with me, just let me know that you're still with me. In many Christian churches, and I speak to many different people of different religions, but right now I'm going to focus on the Christian religion because that's the one I know. There's this thing that may be done every month, maybe in Catholicism, it may be every time you show up at church. It is the act of communion, the act of communion. And when I think about communion, first of all, I think about in my church, they used to have, what is it, Welch's grape juice? Any of you ever had Welch's grape juice? It used to be like, oh, that, like as kids, we're like, oh, that juice was so good. You know, I wish we could just go up and take communion again because the juice was so good. It was so freaking sweet. I remember the first time I ever went to a Catholic church because I did not grow up Catholic. And then I saw everyone drinking from the same cup. I did get kind of grossed out. Sorry if you're Catholic, but I got grossed out when I saw everyone online and they kept drinking from the same cup. I was like, oh my God, thank God I'm not Catholic. That's what I said. Folks, don't take offense to it. Just laugh with me, roll with me. Let's keep going. So let's think about this sacred religious act of communion. Let's think about some things that it may represent to Christians when they take it. Some of the purposes, celebrating the life of Christ, remembering Christ's sacrifice. These are some purposes why Christians may take communion. They take it in a community form. So it's not just one person in the front taking it, but it's everyone taking it together. So it's like that sense of community, that sense of unity and fellowship as you're remembering it together. Many times before you take communion, maybe in some churches, they may say, this is the time for you to truly examine yourself. And then also sometimes even the anticipation of the second coming of Christ. Why do I talk about communion from the religious standpoint? Because I want to introduce this concept to you. Communing with yourself. Someone type in myself. Communing with yourself. Remember, we're on part 1 here in nurturing the nurturers, the power of filling your own cup. And part 1 is called the sacred act of nurturing yourself. And I'm introducing the concept by using Christendom as an example of you now communing with yourself. This is not meant to be blasphemous. This is not meant to take the place of any communion that you do. But right now, I'm talking about communion with yourself. So I want you to think about these ideas as you being sacred. There's this Psalm 139 that says, you created me, the author's talking to God. It says, you created me, you created my inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb. Pause. Think about that author, what it's saying to God, and it's no different. Everyone usually who comes here has some type of belief in a higher power. And I want you to think about you as being sacred, that God, the creator, actually formed you in your mother's womb. It doesn't matter if you were adopted. It doesn't matter if you were abandoned. It doesn't matter if you were in foster care. Right now, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. Let me be clear. Right now, I'm talking about the fact that you were formed in the body of another human being. I'll read that again. It says, you created my most this is when you can't read. My most inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb. So if you just for a second put your hand on your belly and just envision that you were created by God. You were fashioned by him. Yes, your dad's sperm and your mom's egg came together. However, that was a divine plan. We're thinking about right now the idea of you being sacred. If you go back to the book of Genesis, the forming of a woman was sacred. It was so sacred that God didn't even want Adam to say. I mean, could God not have just kind of taken his rib out without any pain and just said, oh, watch me as I do this. Let me just put her together. No, but even God closed the eyes of Adam and he formed a woman sacredly. It was just the form of a woman and God. Are you starting to catch my drift yet? That you are sacred. Someone should type in the words sacred. Someone should type in the words sacred. And then in Genesis, it also says something to the effect that, so God created them in his image. We hear that kind of thrown around a lot. I do, maybe you don't. I hear that thrown around a lot. Oh, we're created in the image of God, but I want you right now to think of this in the context of you being sacred, that God created you in his image. Go ahead and ponder that and jot down or put in the comments what comes up for you when you think about the context of you being sacred based upon what you've just heard. You are a sacred being in the image of God. So just rest with that. If you're thinking about that, how does that make you take more seriously nurturing yourself? If you actually thought about yourself, now listen to me carefully, because some might take this and run with it with the wrong information. In the form of a little God, so like a little g, not the capital G. If you thought of yourself that way, how much more serious would you take the nurturing of yourself? It feels differently, right? It feels differently than all the posting on Facebook. It feels differently than all the lives that we do. It feels differently when we're thinking about all the clients that we help. How much better would you be if you served the clients, if you served your parishioners, if you served whomever it was who's looking to you, even your direct reports, if you served your customers with the idea that I am sacred. So if you're sacred, oh, this is coming up for me. If you're sacred, then your business, your career, your job, whatever it is, have no choice but to be sacred too. So how can you begin to commune with yourself? Well, think about some of those things that Christians, some of those purposes why Christians may take communion. I'm not going to go through all of them, but let's just take the word celebration, right? We said celebrating maybe the life of Christ. What would it look like if you celebrated you as a sacred being? What would that look like if you did that? When we think about how Christians may be anticipating the second coming of Christ, well, why don't we just take out the word anticipate? What would it look like if you nurtured yourself with anticipation of the future, of the beautiful future that you are creating for yourself? And of course, and actually, I don't even know if I said this before, Christians may take communion for spiritual nourishment. Ooh, spiritual nourishment. So what would it look like if the sacred you spiritually nourished yourself? I'd love to hear your ideas and see your ideas as you think about what that may look like. So now you have your water, and before we start this, I want to tell you about a theory that was debunked by science, but I don't care because I love it. And even if you make this up, I think if you believe it can do something for you. So let's try this. Let me tell you first about this experiment. It had to do with water. Maybe some of you have heard of it. So this is the watered down and dirty version of it. I think it was a Japanese person some time ago. They did an experiment where they spoke to water in a positive way and a negative way. So when they spoke to this water in the positive way and they froze it, it created, it as it crystallized, it created what one would call beautiful designs. It crystallized in a beautiful design. That was the water that they spoke positively to it. On the other hand, the water that had been spoken negatively to, they said when it formed, when it crystallized and it was freezing, that it looked to the naked eye. And of course, we know beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but seemingly the negative gave it negative look, a bad look. It looked ugly when it formed. So we're going to take this and just kind of envision, if you will, your water. And we're going to try this. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you to grab the water, and I'll give you just 3 affirmations to say. You're going to say these affirmations, and after you say the affirmations, you're going to close your eyes and then drink the water. As you drink the water, I want you to envision, as you feel that water go down into your system, I want you to envision those words in a way, kind of baptizing the inside of your body, your organs, touching everything that it's touches with those words of affirmation. Envision whatever it is that comes up for you. How, I don't know, will it make your heart beat faster? Do you see your kidneys, really cleansing out the blood, whatever it might be? And then I'll ask you to open up your eyes and then make note of what you felt during that experiment. So let's grab our water. Let's open it up. And you can start closing your eyes right now if you're in a safe space, and just kind of speak to the water at these 3 things. First is this: I am fearfully and wonderfully made. You say it. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Next affirmation. I am made in the image of God. Feel it when you say it. Say it with me. I am made in the image of God. And then the final piece. I am powerful. Go ahead, you say that. I am powerful. Go ahead, close your eyes, drink, and envision. Come on and open up your eyes now. And go ahead and make note of what you felt as you did that. What did you see as you did that? So if you're ready to receive support, I am going to put the link in the chat. If you want to strategize, if you felt something resonated with you today, I am going to put a link in the chat. This concludes part 1 of Nurturing the Nurturers. This concludes part 1 of Nurturing the Nurturers. Let me make sure that I put this in the chat right now for you. And well, it's Nurturing the Nurturers, the power of filling your own cup. And tonight, part 1 was called The Sacred Act of Nourishing or Nurturing Your self. I'd love to hear if you want to send me a message about what you felt during today's live. I'd love to hear from you. Until the next time we see each other, Queen, I'll see you again soon. Thank you so much for tuning in.